All right, people. So today I'm going to show you how to make a couple different character eyes in Gravit. I'm going to start with this kind of easy one right over here, which is basically made up of circles. So you hit the ellipse tool and then drag out an ellipse. You're going to hold down shift to make it a perfect circle. And then we're just going to cut it in half with the knife tool right here. So you hit the knife tool and then you click and drag over your shape. You can hold down shift to make it a straight line. And you can see the line pops up there. And then you can just go to your selection tool and click away from the shape for a second and then click back on one of the shapes. And in this way you can edit either half. So this bottom half, I'm just gonna make it, a little off-white, and this top half, I'm gonna make it a skin color. Like that, looks pretty good. I'm going to kind of put them back together and duplicate this bottom half, make it black so we have an iris. So with the bottom half selected is Control C, Control V, and it's pasted right on top. I'm going to make that one black, and then I'm going to resize it. This time I'm just going to resize it again with constraining the proportions and holding it to the center. I'm going to hold down Shift and Option or Alt, and then you can make it a little bit smaller and bump it right into place. And now you have eyelid, the whites of an eye, and the iris or pupil. You can, if you want, add a colored iris and then a dark pupil, or you can just put on a white highlight. It's basically it. You can have fun with this and take it a few other directions. Like I added an extra little crescent up there, but I'm going to move on and show you how to point the corners of an eye. So with the circle tool, again, the ellipse tool, I'm just going to drag out a circle. And to get these anchor points to change and edit them individually, you need to go over here to convert to path. So up top is this little line with the anchor points at the end of it. It says convert to path. Convert it to path, and then you can edit those anchor points with the sub select tool. So D is for sub select, and now you can see that the bounding box disappears and you can edit each one of these anchor points individually. So I'm just gonna edit the joint over here in appearances. You have these different options for joints. I'm just going to make it a straight point, so it comes to a point instead of a curve. I'm gonna do that with both, and then resize it a little bit. I'll just go back to the sub select tool, or not the sub select, the pointer tool, and squish it down a little bit. So now I have basically the outline of an eye. I'm going to put a circle for an iris and a pupil in it. So I'm going to hit the circle or the ellipse button, drag out an ellipse, and make it a pretty eye color like blue or purple blue. All right, and then I'm going to make an iris, or excuse me, that is the iris. I'm going to make a pupil. So I'm going to Command C, Command V, and change that top one to, change it top one to black. All right, now I'm going to resize this. Again, I'm just using the regular select tool, or the, what they call it, the pointer tool. And I'm holding down Shift and Option or Alt and dragging the corners in. That's it. So now I have the white part, the iris and the pupil, but the iris and the pupil aren't really fitting within the white part of the eye. So I'm just going to select both the iris and the pupil and group them together by, we'll select both of them by holding down Shift, click one, then click the other. And then you can group them by hitting this button over here, or going Command G is the keyboard shortcut for grouping. So now with this one grouped, these two circles grouped, I'm going to clip them inside of the pointed oval that I made for the outline of the eye. I'm just going to select everything, both those shapes. The top one is the one that's going to get clipped into the bottom one. And there's this nice button, where is it, for clip? It's right here with this circle and rectangle. Hit clip, and now the iris and the pupil, the two circles that we made, are clipped within the outline of our pointed oval. You can add extra lines if you want, easily just by hitting the line tool and just drag out a line. And then with the sub select tool, just hit sub select, you can add an anchor point and then move that anchor point around. And again, the joints over here, right now it's at a pointy joint, so you can just change to a mirrored point. and move around just like that. You can change the border, the width, the color. There, people, so I just wanted to give you a couple other options for creating better eyes in Gravit. So I just wanted to show you real quick. I always create an extra page, like this is my front illustration page, and just to experiment with different things, I made another page. So I'm on a different page right here. It's just create new page. So to create a better eye, we start with an oval or a circle and then convert these two anchor points. So you need to do this. It's convert to path, and then with the sub selection tool, you can click this anchor point, hold down shift, and then click that anchor point. So those two anchor points are selected. I'm going to change the joint to straight so they come to like a point. Go back to my pointer tool, resize that guy a little bit, and then go back to sub-select tool and zoom in a little bit. I'm just going to add a couple of anchor points. You can add anchor points with the sub-select tool just by clicking on a path like that and like that. And then I'm going to change the joint to this guy right here. Make it, it's supposed to be mirrored. That looks okay. And you can pull that out. Again, if you want to change like the shape of the eye, you can do this just by dragging out anchor points just like that. So that's going to be the shape of my eye, and I'm going to make an iris and a pupil. I'm just going to make it over here for a second. Hold down shift to get a nice perfect circle, change that to a fun color, and then I'm going to make it a little more interesting. Put a star in here. And if you're trying to max out the star points and just max out the slider, that's great. But you can also just type in the number you want. If you want 200, that's good. Let's try to fit this guy right in top there. Whoops. And change the color to, yeah, that looks cool. I can also copy and paste it. Just turn my second one around a little bit and change the color. Meh. So you get it. You can change the color of these. You can like resize them too a little bit. All right. So anyways, I have my iris, and I'm just going to add a pupil. Hold down shift and then move it around. Use the smart guides to line everything back up. You can see the crosshairs line up like right there. Change this guy to black. Now I'm going to group all these guys. So I'm just going to select all of them, hit Command G to group. There's also a group button over here. And I'm going to move them on top of the outline, the white part of my eye. There we go. And then I'm going to clip this group of circles within the outline of the white part of my eye. Just going to select everything. So click and drag to select everything. And then there's this button called clip, and that'll clip the top portion or top element inside of the bottom element. So that looks okay. I'm going to add a couple highlights. So I'm just going to hit the ellipse tool. And so I have a circle. I'm going to hold down Option and then drag out another one. And then I'm going to subtract. So I'm trying to get this crescent shape. So with both of them selected, I just clicked and dragged to select both of them and hit subtract. Now I have a nice crescent shape, and I'm going to cut it up with the knife tool. So the crescent shape is just selected. I hit the knife tool and cut it there, and maybe cut it there. And let's now change all those guys to bright white and find them and move them over to my eye. Where are they? This guy. And you might have to resize them and move them around as necessary, but that's a good way to create highlights, is just to create that crescent shape by using the subtract and compound shapes. So hope that helps. Hope that gives you a couple little options. You know, you can always add like a border, but that's basically it. You can add some eyelashes to this if you want, but there you go. That's a little bit better of an eye. Oh, I can even maybe quick, hopefully I have enough time for this. Get the pink part of your eye and then select, oops, just those, and just clip that one right inside there. That looks pretty good. This one's kind of a little off. Change that. All right, people, so I'm gonna give you a couple options for making eyebrows in Gravit. So I usually just start with overlapping shapes. I'm just gonna use a ellipse and make an oval. That's my shape. I'm going to duplicate it by clicking, dragging, but I'm holding down Option when I do that. So, or Option or Alt. So now I have a copy of it, and now I'm just going to select both of them. I'm trying to get this crescent shape right here. So both of them are selected, and you just go to subtract. Now you have almost an eyebrow shape. That looks pretty good. You can further edit this by hitting Convert to Path, and then using the sub-select tools to move around these anchor points. Make a pointy side and a rounded side. If you ever want to like get rid of an anchor point, if you like just don't want this one, you can just select it, it's blue, and then hit delete, and then it goes away. And these direction handles, move them out, move them around a little bit. That looks okay. I'm going to give that a nice color. Done. Okay, let's do another one, but this time let's do it with a rectangle. And let's round the corners. And again, I'm just going to click and drag while holding Option, and maybe make it a little off center like that, and subtract. So both of them are selected. Then go up here to subtract. And that's another little eyebrow shape. Again, I'm going to change it up a little bit with the Convert the Path and sub-select. Whoops, sub-select. Maybe it didn't convert. Here we go, convert that one to path. Again, you can delete a couple of these anchor points if you don't like them. And you can also change the joint options over here and the direction handles, these blue things. That's not bad either. Let's keep going and see if we can get a couple more. Just with, I like the rectangles for right now. All right, so let's do corners, but let's do the options of uniform corners and just unselect all of them. And, oops, D. Here we go. There we go. This one. There we go. That right there could be an eyebrow. That's not terrible. But again, if you want to make a little bit more organic shapes, you can just hit Convert to Path, and then with the sub-selector tool, where is it? Sub-select tool, you should be able to move these guys around a little bit. Oh, there we go. You can even still move the curves, which is nice. So eyebrows are normally like thick on one side, and then they taper off on another side. So it might look more like that. If you want to add another anchor point, you just hover over it, add an anchor point. If it's too sharp, you change it to mirrored, and that's another one. All right, let's try one more. Start with the ellipse again. Hold down Option when I'm clicking and dragging. Select both of them. Hit subtract. I have, whoops, that shape right there, which I want to convert to path. And with the sub-select tool, I want to make this more round. There we go. That's pretty good. Let's change that color to this. Now I have, whoops, excuse me. How many do I have? I have four. Four different eyebrows that I can use on either of these guys. Again, the thick part would go towards the middle and the thin part would go towards the edges of the face. So that looks good. And then if you're trying to duplicate it, like that doesn't look good. That doesn't make sense at all. You're gonna have to flip them. So flip horizontal. Thick parts of the eyebrows in the middle, thin parts of the eyebrows towards the edge. And that's all. Hope that gave you a couple good ideas for creating eyebrows in Gravit. Hey there, people. So today, right now, I'm going to show you a couple options for creating noses for your characters in Gravit. This one's super easy. It's just a line. This one's a little bit more complicated, but it's just made out of shapes. So let's get started on my blank heads. First one, super easy, noses, just use the line tool, click and drag, hold down shift to make the line straight. Now you have a line. You can now edit that line with the sub-select tool. So you just go over here, hit sub-select tool or D on the keyboard, and when you hover over the line, you get a little icon that pops up, and that means you can add an anchor point. So you just click, and you see that little box as an anchor point, and you can now click and drag that anchor point anywhere you want. You can also change the joint of the anchor point over here. Right now it's on straight, but if you hit mirrored or disconnected, any of these other ones, you can get it to curve. So you can grab these little direction handles to get a curve that looks something like a nose. If you wanted to add, more anchor points, you just hit the sub-select tool and hover over it. You can add another anchor point. So you can add as many as you want, make something that looks like a nose, and then hit V to get just a regular pointer tool. You might have to resize it and scoot it right on top of your head where you need it. All right, so that was super easy. The next one is making a nose with ellipses. So zoom in for a second and make it a circle. And then I'm going to make another circle for a nostril. And I'm going to click and drag while holding down Option. Move a copy over here. All right, so then I'm going to add a bridge of the nose with a triangle. Just drag out a triangle. And that's upside down, so I'm just going to flip it and make it a little bit more narrow. Place it on top. That's basically the shape of it. It's just 3 circles, 3 ellipses with a triangle on top. I'm just going to select all of them, click and drag, select all of them, and pick a skin tone. There we go. And I'm just going to compound shape them, join or union. So now it's all one shape. And I'm going to put a shadow underneath this by duplicating it. I'm just going to hold down Option while I click and drag up. So now I have 2. And I'm just going to go to that bottom one. This is going to be my shadow one. So click on that bottom one. Go back to your fill and drag down the color a little bit to make it a little bit darker. Now I have a shadow on top of my nose. Or underneath my nose. You can also make a highlight for your nose. You can use like any of these, but I'm just going to quick make like a crescent shape. I have a circle, and holding down Option and clicking and dragging that circle is going to duplicate it. So now I have 2 circles overlapping with each other. I'm going to hit subtract, and now I have a nice crescent shape. And I'm going to make that bright white, and I have to make that a little bit smaller. Put that on top of my nose. That's it. So that's 2 pretty simple noses. You can take them other places. If you would like to add more highlights, you can mess around with the different fills and even add like a linear gradient so it fades a little bit. But hopefully that gives you a couple options for different types of noses that you can use to illustrate characters in Gravit. Right, people, so right now I'm going to show you a couple options for how to create a mouth in Gravit. I have this one right here, which I made just from an ellipse, and this one right here, same thing, an ellipse. I just clipped a couple shapes within the ellipse. So let's try to make those 2 mouths for you on my blank heads right here. So first one, start off by making an ellipse, like an oval shape. Looks pretty good. And then we're just going to add anchor points and move around some anchor points. Before that, you need to convert this shape to a path. So this button over here is your friend, convert to path, hit convert to path, but then you have to remember to switch to the sub-select tool. Now the bounding box goes away and you can move around your handles. You can also add handles. So if I just move in, I'm going to make the top lip, that little dip in the top lip, just by adding an anchor point here, and an anchor point there. And then this middle one, I'm just gonna dip that in a little bit. That's the dip in the upper lip. This corner and this one, I'm holding down shift to select 2 of them at the same time, are going to need to be a little bit more pointy. So you just select them and then come over here to joint and change the joint to straight. So now they're a little bit more pointy, and you can move them around individually. Just click away and then click back on them. You can make them pop up a little bit, pop down a little bit. You want to make them smile. So up to you. You can also, change this bottom one if you wish. So let's just make that a nice, pretty lips color and add a line down the middle for the split in your mouth. So where are we? Line. I'm just going to click and drag from corner to corner, and it's 1 point. And I'm going to add an anchor point and curve it a little bit. So sub-select tool, I'm just going to add an anchor point in the middle and make it curve down a little bit. If you click away, you can kind of see that these edges are kind of sharp and ugly. So you can change those if you click on it. So I'm going to try to select just the outline. Where is it? There he is. Right in here, borders. If you go to borders and advanced settings, you can change the ends to rounded. Now it's less harsh if they're rounded. So that's number one, mouth number one. So I'm going to move him out of the way. Now I'm going to create another mouth that's open with another lips. So grabbing the lips. I'm going to make them black for a second. And let's see, I'm going to make some teeth. I'm just going to draw out a rectangle right on top and make that rectangle, white. And then I'm going to click and drag with the selection tool, the pointer tool. So I have both of those are selected. I'm going to clip the rectangle within the ellipse by hitting the clip button. Right, so now those are my teeth. I'm going to do kind of the same thing with an ellipse for a tongue kind of shape. There we go. Drag that out, put them on top, and give it like a pinky tongue color. And again, I'm just going to drag out to select both overlapping shapes and hit clip. So now I have my tongue is clipped within my mouth. There we go. You can also add a border to these, just to make it seem like it has some lips. Oops. Add a border, and then give it a color for lips. You might have to up the size to like 5 points. That's even too much. So let's go down to 4 points. Looks okay. So those are two options for different mouths that you can create in Gravit.